What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Gainz podcast. This is,
Roman.
and I am Antoine. And thank you guys for joining us again. I forgot to mention too, Roman, to the people. Last episode was the Kobe episode 24. This is episode 25. Would you consider this the Barry Bonds episode, or I mean,
It might be
is no one?
controversial.
Yeah. The Barry Bonds of episodes. So this episode gonna be really big, right? Just like Barry Bonds was.
Oh yeah, it's going to be huge.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you guys for coming back. As you might know it, Roman and I were probably not even supposed to be doing this podcast if it was back in the real time and nothing was going on in the world today. But here we are because we care about you guys, and we just want to make America swole again. Not make America great again, swole again.
Do you like the Gainz Nation I've been posting on Instagram recently?
Yes.
What's up, Gainz Nation?
Gainz Nation. So if you guys, quick note too, if you guys aren't following our Instagram, just go on Instagram, type in Gainz Podcast, just how we spell it, with a Z, not a S. So Gainz Podcast, Podcast. And Roman was sharing with us how he prepares and eats some meals throughout the day. So
Yeah.
Roman, are we gonna see more about this food and whatnot?
Yeah, I'll definitely tune in more. Yeah, I feel like we don't plug ourselves enough, and this is our podcast, and we want to put out good information, but we also want we want this to grow, and we want it to reach more people. So, like Antoine said, if you're not following us on Instagram, go check us out. We post things about nutrition, about fitness. We go over different fitness hacks, not really hacks, but we give you a lot of good information about getting swole, getting them gains. So go over, check it out. This weekend I posted a full day of eating for me, so you get to see a breakdown of what I eat, why I eat it, and then yeah.
And also, Roman just mentioned, he said fitness hacks, but he is also a fitness hack himself.
Yes.
No,
honestly, the epitome of that is we were at Billy and I were at LA Fitness, and the dip press down machines.
Yeah.
So I get on one of those, and I was like, what would you think if we use this kind of form? And I just short armed it, and I was bouncing up and down on it, and he was just freaking dying, man. He was like, you look like one of those gym fail videos.
Yeah, I think
It's
those
pretty
are
bad.
I think those are the fitness hacks of people, as you would say.
Yeah.
Or you know what? And maybe this is a quick shout out before we start, is hey, if you're a personal trainer at LA Fitness and you see that, maybe how we're taught in personal training books and knowledge and classes is to maybe approach and ask them what their goals are, or find out some more information. Not to say they're wrong. I didn't say that, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But that's a good appropriate time to introduce yourself.
Yeah, don't tell them their technique is shit. Be like, hey, that's such an interesting form. I've never seen that before. You want to tell me more? What are you trying to get done in the gym?
Now that'd be funny if someone came up to you, Roman, during that time. They're like, yeah, I see you're trying to maybe build your triceps up, but it seems like you're doing them 100 per second, but not full range of motion. What were you trying to accomplish there?
Personal trainers actually, they hate talking to me because I get too in depth. I'm like, oh my god, somebody else that has a love for fitness, let me just spill everything that I know about it, and they're just on the floor in a coma by the end.
They're like, my brain hurts. I'm gonna tell my manager I threw up, so I gotta go home.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well, we'll get right back into it, guys. I know some of you guys like the small talk, some of you don't. Joe Schmo looking like you've just, I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, guys, if you haven't caught that last episode, we talked about working out at home. Obviously, what's going on right now in the world, no gyms are open that I know of. I mean, some people might have private access because you're an owner, obviously. But last episode, we talked about the good basics that we kind of went over for like beginners, as well as at the end we kind of talked about a little bit more hints and tricks and type deal, and kind of gave some advice even if you weren't a beginner. So this episode is going to be more of an extension of that, as well as a new format of kind of like, since we haven't done an episode before, to talk about more of our goals. And in the beginning of the year we've talked about our goals, but how has it impacted us? How has it impacted Roman? How has it impacted me? And how we're going to move forward from it, and what we're doing currently. And then I know there were some, I know Roman probably has it written down or has still in his head, but there were some that Roman and I went over last episode that we didn't get a chance to even talk about. So, we're going to go ahead and go talk about that. But first, we're going to go talk about what Roman and I are currently doing. Roman's going to start off. And as we told you guys, Roman and I do two different, I mean, we're more in a strength focus, but we're doing two different types of like weekly routines. So, Roman, if you want, the floor is all yours, buddy. I want you to tell them what you're currently doing. If you want to reiterate the goals, just to tell them what you're doing and if anything's changed or how you're still maintaining that goal.
Yeah. Omar Isaf posted another great video today. I've only been able to check like a little bit of it. That one was like much more strength focused. I'd actually say like the kind of stuff we're doing is, well, I don't know, maybe yours is strength focused. Mine is much more about like, I'd say like much more of a bodybuilding like type I don't know, influence, I suppose. But yeah, Omar Isa, if you want to check it out, he has a great video they just posted on his YouTube page with Johnny Candido, Silent Mike, Alan Thrall, and the other guy I'm actually not like too like aware of him. I think I've seen him like in like some doing like deadlift videos and stuff like that, but I don't know his name offhand. But if you wanted to like get more information on strength focus and kind of what the realistic view would look like for like at home training, like just the gist is that like you probably would lose some strength. Like that's pretty understandable. I wouldn't get too worried about it because there's a couple of like really positive things that could come out of this from a fitness perspective. So somebody like me, I was training like really freaking hard before gyms closed, like because of everything going on with COVID-19. So I was getting to the point where like I needed to take a deload, but I was just pushing because I was loving the progress and whatnot. I was kind of ignoring some of those like physiological cues I was getting. So from like a period of like down training, like I wouldn't say don't train, like you should still have a daily moving practice, but from a period of like down training, like this could work wonders for healing your body. Like second to that, this could be an amazing opportunity for you to like really focus in on the basics and to just like hammer those away and like in a way like get swole, like add some like legitimate muscle mass to yourself. So the important things to remember, if that was a pivot goal of yours, if like your goal was strength and you're like, yeah, you know what, if my deadlift is around like 550 right now, like there's that I can like there anything, even like putting like my girlfriend on my couch and like, you know, deadlifting the couch with like the 245s that I have in the basement and then having her hold the dog, like that's like not even going to be close. You can try and simulate those kinds of things, but like I feel like most people probably don't have the access to the type of equipment they need to have like the like the strength stimulus. That's okay. Like pivot, and we'll give you some tools you can use for that pivot. And what do I mean? So what we know and understand is that like a larger muscle compared to a smaller muscle should be a stronger muscle. That's not like all inclusive and all encompassing, but a larger muscle does have the ability to become a stronger muscle. So work on hypertrophy, work on building up your frame, work on, you know, the basics. Like I said, like that's why I was saying, like, if you're a beginner, like perfect, like an air squat, try and like do a Tabata of like 20 within like 20 seconds, like rest 10 seconds and do 3 sets of that. If you can do 3 sets, then like, you know, grab something, anything, a backpack, throw like water bottles in it et cetera, et cetera. Today we're going to focus more on intermediates, and I'll go over my programming. So with that digression, I have much more of like a bodybuilding focus, I'd say, just trying to like build up my body as much as possible. And then when I have the proper tools back in the gym, depending on like when Antoine and I, if he still wants to do it, like plan a like powerlifting meet, that's when I'll like niche down more towards
My back is feeling okay.
Hell yeah, dude. That's exactly what I'm saying though. Like this was like such like a random and like weird series of events, but like for people like in our situation where we're really pushing the envelope and we're trying to like, like train as optimally as possible and make sure like we are training like hard, so we're getting that like effective like training stimulus. Like we beat the shit out of ourselves, man. So our bodies like needed the break. It just needed it.
Yeah, it's nice too. Yeah.
So I broke it up into 3 workouts that repeat twice a week. Mostly I kind of sprinkle in some like razzle dazz, like whatever, because I can and I want to. So I have a push, pull, and a legs. So chest, shoulders, tries, a back and bi, and then I have a legs session. So I'll just go over them and I'll go over some of the progressions. I've gotten really lazy with doing ab work, so I've added back in ab work. It looks different each day, so it might be like the McGill Big 3, where I do like bird dogs, dead bugs, and side planks, and then might mix in like some regular planks or some stir the pots. Ab work is kind of like it's still laissez-faire, or like I sprinkle it in whenever, but I try to do it like at least every other session, if not every session. I might do it as part of a warm up, or the first like part of like my working sets, or I might do it at the end of the workout. It kind of just depends on the flow of it. I don't really have a standard for where I throw ab work in. I would say it probably would make more sense to like program it a little bit more diligently if that was something that you wanted to track more. It's more of like it's like a tertiary goal. I'm like, yeah, I should do some ab work for, strengthening my core and like, making sure that like my back stays nice and strong, and, hypertrophying my like spinal erectors could never hurt, so I do like weird things for that. For my push session, I look mainly at different like push-up variations. So I have a flat push-up, and then I have a feet elevated push-up to hit more of the clavicular head of the pecs. I think it's like from a physique perspective, I think it's like one of those areas that's a weak point for me. So I've definitely like filled it in more, and I actually have like an upper chest now. I'm like, whoa, like I can actually do that. And I've been like working on like different poses and stuff like that, like trying to accentuate it. But like I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like I'm like, oh shit, like I can actually like build this part of my chest. So that's why I've been doing the feet elevated push-ups. I'll get to like what the sets look like. I'll just break down what the workouts are, or the lifts, exercises. Then I was doing like an upside down like wall walk up to like an attempted like what do you call it, a handstand push up. Those did not work well at all. So I took that out for just pike push ups to focus more on the anterior, which I don't think that you can do like too much if you do a lot of pressing. And since I've got up to like 18 to 20 sets of push-ups a week, so too much in that regard. I would say I would keep that like to a minimum, unless that was like a weak point for you and you were like, working on it. It's pretty much the same thing when I'm doing like military press. It's usually like maybe 4 to 8 sets a week, just because I do so many other pressing variations. I was doing dips. I took that out because it was just kind of garbage, to be honest with you. I messed around with different tricep movements. So I have bands at home. They're kind of like physio bands. So I have to like double and triple them up to get like the kind of resistance.
Are they like the very thin ones? Is that why? Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
So like when I do band pull parts for back, I have a double band, and I double it up again, so it's like a quad band, just to like get like a proper like upper back pump.
That's great.
So that's pretty much like my chest, shoulder, and tricep workout. For triceps, I don't know if I mentioned, I do tricep variations. So mainly it's been like a kickback recently. So what I do is I wrap a band around a table and I pull the slack out of it. So I have tension at the beginning of the kickback. So it would be, it would be like your arms. I don't know what the angle would be. Maybe I'll just have to create a video on it. That's essentially. And then I just kick it back until I get the failure. And it ends up being like 20 plus reps. I'm there forever. So that's what my chest and shoulders look like. I started with 3 sets of flat push-ups and 3 sets of feet elevated push-ups. And I progressed to 5 sets of feet elevated push-ups and 4 sets of flat push-ups. So this is a matter of 3 weeks. So I would say plan out your progressions, but make sure you add in those progressions. You can progress based off of 3 ways. You can progress based off of reps, based off of sets, or based off of weight. You can do a combination of any of those. You can do weighted push-ups if you wanted, but those are like the 3 main types of progressions you can do. Next, I have a at-home legs workout. I start with my warm-ups, of course, but then I do sets of wall sits. I started with a minute, and then I go straight into air squats. I was doing 100 air squats after the minute wall sit, and I was like crying at the end of each set. I tried to do 4 sets to start, man, and like my quads were fucking so pumped. They're freaking. Try to keep it PG. So freaking pumped up, man. It was like it was hard to walk, man. I like had to crawl around the apartment for a little bit. So that one's insane. I've bumped the wall sit up to 1.5 minutes, and I do anywhere between like 25 to 40 air squats. And like an air squat's like super simple. To give you perspective, like my 1 RM for squat is like 315-ish. It's probably like much higher than that. This is my last training block. I hit like 285 by 8. This is pounds, not kilos someday. But
before you get into the next point, I wanted to stop you and ask the question because I know you and I have talked about it, but since we haven't really recorded it, the conversation or like kind of put it out there. So Roman and I were pretty much talking how he was talking about like wall sits and then air squats, and he was pretty much telling me, what the importance is, and I kind of forgot as well because we're trying to create that same stimulus and same load. Can you go over again, like what you were kind of talking about at the end of like I think it was after the end of one of the recordings we were doing, and we were talking about it. So why are you doing wall sits for a minute and then doing air squats right after for a set? Like what's the importance of it, and then why you're doing it?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Why am I supersetting the 2 of them? The wall sit is essentially to get myself to some type of like isometric failure in my my quad muscles. So like for you, it might be like 30 seconds. It could be like 2 minutes. What does that look like? You're going to start sliding down the wall, and your legs are going to just start screaming at you. Your quads are going to be crying. Your legs start shaking. You are in like physical pain when it happens. The reason why I'm doing that, from my understanding, there's not like great research on isometrics creating a great amount of hypertrophy. I do think that they can contribute to hypertrophy, but it's more of like a pre-exhaust or pre-fatigue method, which is also not optimal. But remember, we're training at home, so we kind of have to throw optimal out the window, and we have to look at like practicalities and also like something that like might be fun. So a typical air squat, like I could bust those out. I might be able to do like 100 plus in any given set, and then just be like, yeah, like I kind of feel it. Like the pumps are like the quads are like a little pumped up because you do so many. It's really easy to cheat too. Like I'll watch myself like doing videos. I'm like, that's crap. Like gotta go back to the drawing board. When you do this like type of like an intensity technique or this type of a setup, this kind of like a superset, it really forces you to feel out every like squat, every like movement. And I think for somebody that's like a beginning intermediate, it really helps you develop like a really strong mind muscle connection to your quads, so that like once you get back in the gym, like holy hell, like now I know like what a quad. And it also adds like a little bit of intensity to a move, which can be like fairly straightforward and maybe like monotonous for somebody that like can just bust out like 200, 300 at one time. So those are like the main reasons why I do it.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure we get that out there because I totally
Yeah.
forgot about it. And I've been doing it, incorporating it in my training when it comes to legs, and it's been a hell of a move. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Then I do some plyo type stuff. I do split squat, stance jumps, or so at first they were like a lunge type jump where I was keeping the back leg stationary and just jumping from the front foot and trying to focus on like most of like the force coming from the front foot and like absorbing from the front foot. I since moved to like a couch where the foot is elevated. I kind of oscillate between the two. I would encourage you to try one for a little bit. I do 2 sets, and I did 2 sets of 15. I progressed up to like 2 sets of 20 or something along those lines. The important thing about like plyometrics is I keep the touches fairly low. So I started with 30 touches in a workout. That's kind of like moderate, I'd say. That I used to go crazy with plyometric stuff, and I never could see like any type of gains. And I honestly think it was because like the sheer volume that I was doing for like quad type work, and probably my nutrition was like not like adequate, just because I naturally I think undereat or eat like in a deficit, just because like I'm so mobile or so active, or I have been in the past. So I like wasn't seeing like any gains. So I would say keep the touches fairly low because the fatigue can like really build up and get to you. So like if you're going to do air squat or jump squats, for example, I'd keep the touches kind of low. I'd say like if it's the first time you're trying it for a long time or maybe ever, maybe do 2 sets of like 5 or 8 or 10. If you've done them before, why do any more than 3 sets? Because if you do 3 sets twice a week and you have like another like 1 or 2 other quad movements, then just like add in a set when like you feel necessary. So I think it's important not to go like overboard there. Then I was combining Nordic ham curls, which you're gonna want to like have like a partner either holding your feet or like holding down the couch if you're using a couch for them. I was doing 2 sets of those at about like 8 to 12 reps, and then progressing from there. I've pretty much solely moved to just knee tuck slides because there's like an isometric in your hip position, and then you mainly it's mainly like a knee flexor moment. So I've started with 3 sets. I progressed up to 5 sets. I do anywhere between like 10 to 20 reps on those. So I do some single raises for legs. Backs, I'll make that quick. It's pretty much just some inverted rows. So I hold the bottom of a table and I just row up. I started with 4 sets. I progressed up to 6 sets. I do some single arm. What am I doing now? No, I'm just doing band pull aparts. I've been doing them bent over recently, mostly focusing on like the rear delt. But you also do get like a really good burn in like the rhomboids and the lower trap fibers. And then I do a couple of different curl variations. I most recently grabbed like a bag of work tools. It's like a Ryobi bag. Probably weighs like 20, 25 pounds. And I've just been curling that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. You've had a little bit of like a different approach than I guess you'd say like it's been somewhat popularized recently because of people like Jeff Nippard. So you've been doing full body, right?
Yeah. So I hopped on the train and I've been doing that for a while. Also, by the way, thanks for sharing what you've been doing. That's because right now it's like gonna be it's before I get into it, it's like gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a lot more different because Roman and I are at different spots physically as well as differently when it comes to training. But yeah, I've been doing the full body training now for I think I'm on week 11. I've been enjoying it. I like how I can get like to that peak of almost of a pump or a pump with like a body part, and then like get, and then focus on something else so I don't have to like keep enduring that pain or
Yeah.
the suffering after that. So honestly, it's been good. And you know what? Especially during these times, like, you're doing push pull legs, which is like combining a lot of body parts, but like I feel bad for the people who do like, like arm day or like just shoulder day. And I'm like, well,
Just chest. Yeah.
during this time, you probably can't. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could if you have enough equipment, but like, like like that's why actually I enjoy it, because it's like, I get a full aspect of everything. And like if I don't have something, or if I can't find the right tool, I should say, as like a general term, then I will like figure it out. Because like I think we've been around this game so long where like like I'm not the only one that sat in between like friends like staircases and just did like dips. Like
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that's done that,
Yeah.
or like put two chairs together and like do like abs, or like do push-ups like on an incline like you were talking about. Like
Yeah.
I can't. It's like, you just gotta tap into your caveman head or cave woman head that we probably have. I've already done when you were a child and stuff, or when people were at the park. You grab on the tree branch, do pull-ups. Like you could do that here. You just grab a tree, just
Yeah.
don't be around people. So that being said, like right now, so I pretty sure I probably said it on here, but Sam and I are currently living with her parents, and they do have like somewhat of a gym set in their basement. So uh, I'm a little bit more privileged right now than Roman is with trying to make up some, physiology of bands when trying to quadruple them. But they have I thought it was Bowflex, but it's Weeder. It's a Weeder
Okay.
equipment, and it's actually like pretty dope equipment. But there's a lot of ropes. There's some like leg curl stuff or leg extension stuff. That stuff doesn't work too well, but pretty much, as you guys know, 5 days a week, and every single day besides like I think one is like not a specific like power movement. So meaning bench, squat, deadlift, or overhead press. So I still have like those as the main focus, and then like the fifth one's like just like accessories or whatever the case may be. So I'm not gonna go over all the reps and sets and all that, because I know, we do we have a good like 7 minutes or so. So I don't want to bore you with like the numbers and whatnot. But so like, give an example, like on our first session of the week, we concentrate on overhead press. Thankfully, there's a machine press we have, the Weeder equipment. So if you're watching the video, I just put my hands over my head. So there's like literally two handles, and it's a press, and that baby goes up to like 9 or so plates. So like, like for that press, I'm doing, I think like 6 plates, in like for like 8 to 10 reps or whatever. So that's always good to have. That's it's pretty nice to have that machine, because it's like I'm still pressing like pretty often. Um, and then they're like, like I did do calves 4 days a week and dropped it off one day. Um, so instead of like, like Roman, and this came from like Roman helping me out program before as well. We do two standing, two seated every week. Standing, what I would do is either put a 70-pound sandbag on my shoulders, or the 50-pound easy curl bar on my shoulders, and just do a rep scheme that feels, close to failure, but not. On the seated calves, honestly, I don't know if Roman, you've ever tried this, but what I've been doing for like the seated calves, one of my buddy Tyler, shout out to Tyler, even if he listens or not, he actually showed me this, and I was like, why do you do this so much? He's like, I feel like this is the most effective like calf training. So what you do is you kind of get in, like, you just hold. I typically hold something, but like hold something and get into like a full squat, like ass to grass, and then literally just tiptoe out of that.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like I did like 10 reps and the pump was like there. Like
That's
so I
sweet.
didn't yeah, so like I mean, I just do those on like the seated Wednesdays because like before I was doing seated calf raise on like an actual like hammer press machine where you load the plates on the sides and press it up. Um, leg extensions right now, instead of leg extensions, I've been trying to alternate between, I don't know what they're called, but like some type of I would say a front squat, because leg extensions, I'm trying to get a little bit more of a different, instead of doing like a back squat, I'll try to like load in front of me to keep the core more engaged, as well as the more inner sides of my quads that get more engaged when it comes to those lifts. So I try to do that instead. I don't have like I said, the leg extension's not really there. They have one, it's not so good. And then thankfully cable rows, there is one that's vertical. Um, and like I've been switching off. I've been seated doing rows as well as like I would literally like pull the cable row down and I'll make my spine go like into almost a 90-degree angle and put my knees on the back pad where your back's supposed to be, or your chest, either one. And then I will do it so I'm doing a horizontal movement as well. If I
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that, and then I've been doing abs 5 days a week, or at least try to. Either they have something where I can just put my elbows on and just do like kick ups or kick ups with like your feet to like almost like getting up as high as possible, or to like 90 degrees. So that's like a good one. Like on my deadlift days, since my back is like healing anyways, I'm not like I don't have a barbell. Honestly, Roman, I think I might buy one.
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest, I
Let's
might.
go.
I don't know if the lead times are right. I think I might get it, or I might try to find one on Facebook Marketplace because
Yeah.
I do miss like just doing deadlifts and like hip thrusts.
Yeah.
Um, but deadlifts right now, I've been just doing like 50-pound easy curl bar, and I've been doing high reps. And then like I'll do like a stretch where I'm stretching out like doing like a body weight RDL where I get like a hamstring stretch so it keeps like the burn going. Um, like I'm doing upright rows on that day. I have 20-pound dumbbells, incline curls. I just do like regular curls, standing or seated. It doesn't matter either way. Tricep extensions, they have a rope doing push downs with my single arm, which is awesome as well. And then calves and abs, which I already mentioned. So I can't really tell you more on that one. Um, Now for the bench day, there's some other machine press where I can bench from like a bench press movement with the machine. So I've been thankful to have that. So I actually do get a press movement if I'm not feeling it as much, because I don't know about you, Roman, if you've seen like old machines, they were built weirdly. So
Yeah.
like even if you're trying to like picture someone pressing off a machine, it's not always the best. So like I'll do either like a plank or like maybe like I'll be in like mid push up and just kind of hold it to get like more tension on the actual pectoral muscle. Can't do hyper extensions right now. I don't have that thing, but I could probably easily do it on a couch or something.
Yeah. You can do
So
like Superman, or like
yeah,
I call it
yeah.
Superwoman. So we just do this.
Yeah. So I haven't really been doing that. I mean, like I said, like if I don't do something right now, it's not too bad. I'm trying to just
Yeah.
keep it overall. Hamstring curls, I've been thankful to do that. Cable rows, we talked about. Hammer curls, I just simply get the dumbbell and do that. And then dips, they have the thing where I put my elbows to do abs. They have like a little handle hanging off, so I can actually still do body weight dips, which
Nice.
body weight dips is a rather amazing tricep movement.
Yeah.
And then squat, what Roman was saying, that's what I wanted to explain about. I've been doing what Roman's been doing, besides not air squats with body weight, just with something with load. But I'd been doing wall sits. I actually am proud of myself. I got to like a minute.
Oh yeah.
So that's something I'm proud of because I was like doing only like 30 seconds to start, and I'm like, man, what the hell?
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, yeah, and then like RDL is like because I don't have like a lot of load for like free weight, because like I have the heaviest we have is like a 20-pound dumbbell and like an easy curl bar that's 50 pounds. That's it. So like what I've been doing is like single leg RDLs again a lot more.
Heck yeah.
So like it shows like where my weakness is on my like left side, because I have a weak side like with my hip extender on my left side. I could tell,
Yeah.
which is also good. But yeah, I mean that's it about me. Like I don't want to go too much into it because it looks like yeah we're running out of time and whatnot. So but man, this is yeah.
That's
I don't
cool.
know what else you want to go over real quick to end this
Um,
thing off.
I just want to cover three things that you said.
Yeah.
I think they'd be really interesting for our listeners, like at least like from my perspective. Um, so I want to cover calves. I wanted to cover um, lat pull down, if you have some sort of lat pull down, or like pulling variations. And I want to cover last thing you said. I just had a just thought about it too. What was the last thing?
About like squats and like the wall sits?
Maybe it'll come to me. It was something specific to that. All right. Anyways, let's go to calves.
Oh,
Okay.
like single leg RDLs?
Yes. Cool. Okay. Yes. Remind me unilateral versus bilateral. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So first thing I want to cover is calves. I love that you're doing both a standing variation and a seated variation of calves, and this is why it's really ingenious, folks. So what Antoine knows, or what he's like feeling out or programming in, is when you do a standing variation of calf raises, you're going to be training most of the gastroc. That is like the muscle that we all know of with a calf. That's like that double like muscle in the back of the calf. Whenever you see somebody running, or if you're like an avid bodybuilding fan, that's that big muscle that really pops on the back of the leg. But like a lesser known muscle or lesser trained muscle is the soleus. So if you want to train the gastroc, it's because I believe it's biarticular, meaning that it crosses two joints, both the ankle as well as the knee joint. It's best trained with the knee in a fixed position. So you can test it out by just doing some standing calf raises and see if you really feel out that muscle. The soleus is I believe it's a pennated muscle that I think it's monoarticular, and that is best trained in the knee in a flex position. So the knee essentially like in a 90-degree angle. So that's why seated, or like the calf or the squat calf raise is ingenious, because that's training the soleus, which really helps to make the gastroc pump. So if you have certain lagging body parts, this would be a great time that you could train those lagging body parts, like calves. Like how many people have you ever talked to that are like, man, like I really got after my calf training? Like not many people, right? But it's an area where, like, from a bodybuilding perspective, it's not going to wow a crowd, but it could be something that helps you stand out from like a leg standpoint. Ben Pakulski had some amazing calves. He had some amazing legs in general, but like his calves really helped round out his lower body. So from a bodybuilding perspective, this could be an amazing opportunity for you to train that. Boom. Third grain here for the calves, folks. People don't train dorsiflexion. What do I mean? So the calf, let's say this is your foot. This is plantar flexion. This is dorsiflexion. So it's essentially the big toe coming up towards the shin. That's dorsiflexion. That's a really important movement for the legs, and can also help to train the soleus and really help the gastroc pop, as I mentioned previously. So what you can do for that, you can either tie a towel or a band to the top of your foot, and you can just bring your foot up like this. It'll be challenging, and you'll have to get really creative with how you train it, but it could be a game changer in how you develop your legs. John Meadows posted a calf raise video recently, and he said, for the most part, like that, starting to train dorsiflexion was what like really made his calves pop and really helped him like to eventually get to like getting his pro card. So if that was something that you find you struggle with calves, like give it a try, folks. You talked about, I know we're short on time, so I'll try to make it quick. Pulling movements. So what I really like that you're doing with pulling movements, you're working with what you got, and you're working in different planes. So you cover the transverse plane when you have like your standard like lat pull down, but then you go way back. You do the lean back. I think they call it like the Gainz. They call it like the gangsta lat pull down. But the ingenious thing about that is you actually you pass more into the frontal plane, so you get a little bit more is it extension? I think extension of the shoulder. I always mess those up. But like the benefit of that is you get different lat activation. I think it's more lat activation of the lower fibers. So it's a great way to hit like your back at different angles, folks. So what to take away from it, because like not everyone's going to have a lat pull down machine, you might want to try and train your back or hit your back in different angles. So it might be purely frontal when you're doing your dining room table rows, but then get creative and see if there's some type of overhead variation you can do. If you have cables, one thing that I've messed around with is I've taken a cable, I've wrapped it around the dining room table, I've lied down on my side, and I've pulled it down this way. So I'm working more of the transverse plane, and you're going to be working different fibers by doing that. Third and final note is training unilateral versus bilateral movements. Really important, folks, as Antoine mentioned. Look at like your picture. Do like an inventory of the equipment you have. And if you have limited amount of weight, but you still want to overload the muscles, why not move from a bilateral perspective to unilateral perspective? And you might create better overload so that you can progress better and eventually like grow more muscle. It might mean that like your workout is like doubly as long, but if you can find the time to do it, you might find that you have like various imbalances from side to side. And like in the long run, that might help you like either balance things out or create like a different program to tackle some of those imbalances. Not to say they're imbalances.
Did you say doubly?
Doubly. I think I did say doubly.
Doubly on time.
Did I say it with an Irish accent?
Well, would you say doubly? I'm thinking like maybe like Dublin or something, but no. Thanks for expanding on those points. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm doing that, because that's more the science behind it. But like, you got to take those. You can't just like do it in the same plane. You can't, always do things together. Like if something's like easy with two hands, two legs, try with single hand, add more load or overload compared to like, add it all together and all that good stuff. So yeah, I love it. I love that extension to that. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that doesn't mean like, add instability, because people love to add instability. And then like the issue with that is how are you overloading a particular muscle? So that's like that is honestly like my number one gripe with instability, like Bosu ball, like air squats, that kind of stuff. It's fine if you were trying to train stability, but if your overall goal was, let's say like building muscle, you then have to ask the question, how am I overloading the muscle? And if one set you feel squats on a Bosu ball in your butt, and the next set you feel in your quads, and the next set you feel in your low back, and then the next set you feel in your mid back, do we know that we're overloading a particular muscle group? No. So it wouldn't be a very effective tool for you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, dude, this is great. Yeah. I love it. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe, follow, comment, everything. Add us on Instagram, all that good stuff. But we'll see you on the next one. Peace.